Hello and welcome to the Christmas Day edition of Cracking the Cryptic. I hope that Father Christmas has been very kind to all of you. I'm sure you've all been very good boys and girls this last year. And now look at this puzzle we've got for you today. Isn't this beautiful? This snowflake. We've had this one recommended umpteen times since it first appeared, I think about around the start of December. It's by Riffclown. Apparently it's absolutely gorgeous to solve, and I have to say, in terms of artistic merit, this is 10 out of 10 for me. Absolutely beautiful, a combination of German whisper and Renban lines to create what looks like a very seasonal snowflake for us. Now, I'm sure you've got other things to do today rather than watch Cracking the Cryptic, so why don't I just get straight on with the solve. It's called Let It Snow. This puzzle, by the way, which is appropriate enough, and I'll read you the rules. We have got normal Sudoku rules apply. Adjacent digits along blue lines must differ by at least 5. So the blue lines are German whispers lines. So that means if, for example, this square was a 3, then this cell and this cell, their adjacent digits to the 3 have to be at least 5 different. So this square could be an 8 or a 9, and this square could be an 8 or a 9, but they would actually have to be an 8-9 pair. Now the only other rule is that purple lines contain a consecutive series of digits in any order. So these purple lines are Renban lines. So let's say, well, let's imagine we worked out there was a 1 on this line here. If this was a 1, these two squares would have to be a 2 and a 3, because the consecutive digits with 1 would have to be the digits 1, 2 and 3, and then these would be a 2-3 pair. So similarly, you can see there are lots of short little Renban lines dotted across the puzzle. Just make sure that whatever you fill into them, you've got consecutive digits. That could be 8-7 or 8-9, for example. Now, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. And now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Let's get cracking. So, I can see that 9 by Sudoku, if I've got given digits today, it truly is Christmas. Thank you very much, Santa Riffclown, for the generous offerings there. Okay, I'm not seeing much else. I've got 2 1s as well, but unless I'm missing a trick, I don't think they're interacting in any way that looks useful. So probably we're going to have to use the German whispers to get started. Now, what do we know about Oh yeah, okay, we can use the German whispers to get started, because one of the things that I know about a German whispers line is that it can't have a 5 on it. And that's because the adjacent digits would have to be 5 away from 5, which means they're either 0 or lower, or 10 or higher. Not possible. So ask where 5 goes in column 5 now. We've actually got 4 cells covered by German whispers lines, so we get a 5 in the middle, and I should probably have got that instantly, but didn't see it. Right, now though, I'm quite interested in this sort of clockwork arrangement. We've got a sort of clockwork Renban going round box 5. Now that, given we have to put 1 onto a cell that's on a Renban, which will mean that the 1 and the 2 will have to be on a Renban together in this clockwork arrangement. And then we'll have to put a 3 on a Renban somewhere, and that will have to go with 4. So actually, there is something going on in the central box. We now know the composition of these 4 Renbans. It's a 1 and a 2, a 3 and a 4, a 5 and a 6, not 5 and 6, a 6 and a 7, and an 8 and a 9. The 5 is in the middle. But we don't know which is which, I don't think. Although I'm now noticing that every single one of the cells, or the remaining cells that we've got to fill in box 5, is on a German whispers line. And that makes me ask about if we can't restrict 5 on a German whispers line, what are the next most restricted digits? 4 and 6 are restricted, because a 4 on a whispers line could only ever go with a 9, because we need to be 5 away. A 6 can only ever go with a 1. So it looks like the ones are quite interesting all of a sudden. So that's telling us that the 6 in the middle box cannot be in any of those cells. Because if it was in any of these 6 cells, it would push a 1 into the fistamabel ring in a position where these ones would take care of it and cause a repeated digit. So the 6 in the middle box is in one of those 2 positions. And therefore, it must be next to a 1 on its whispers line. So there is now a 1 in row 5 in one of those 2 positions. Now I don't like pencil marking across boxes like that. Maybe I'll colour those in. I'll put yellow. Yeah, there's going to be lots of jokes about yellow snow now, isn't there? Well, just try and ignore those jokes. All I'm trying to remember is that yellow is a 1 in row 5. Ah, no. I was about to say, obviously, well, it's true. Whichever one of these 6s is real, it then determines the parity of the German whispers line. Now, what do I mean when I refer to a German whispers line's parity? Well, if you think about it, because you can never include a 5 on a whispers line, it's always going to oscillate between high and low digits. So if we knew this was a 6, we would know this was a 1. We would know this then had to go high again, and this would go low again. So we'd know the parity. Hang on a moment. Let me just think about that. So now if one of those is a 6, we know that the 6 goes with a 7, so one of those 2 squares is a 7 in box 5. So again, whichever one of these is a 6, we're going to know the parity of another German whispers line. I don't think we can tell which of these is a 6. I could well be wrong about that. Probably am. I don't know what to do with this. There's a 1 on the yellow bits, or one of the yellow bits. Can we use, if there was a 9 on this Renban, now this would have to be a 987 Renban in some order. Oh, actually thinking about parity, is it parity? Is that the break-in we need to find here? I'm just thinking about... Yeah, this puzzle is obviously very symmetrical. If we just take a look at box 4, that's the box I was looking at when I was thinking about this. Let's just take a look at box 4. Now, we can think about a 2-cell Renban, a bit like a white Kropki dot. These 2 digits have to be an odd and even pair. We don't know which the order is, but we know they've got 1 odd and 1 even cell in this domino. The same is true here. Now, this Renban line could have 2 even digits on it. It doesn't have to, but it could. And if it did, that would be all the even digits used up in the box in that sort of eye-shaped region that I've drawn. Now that would force both of these digits to be odd. Does that mean anything? No, maybe it doesn't. Oh dear. Oh, come on, Riffclown. You haven't made the Christmas puzzle undoable, have you? So, maybe I've got to think about the 4 in this row, because that's also restricted, of course. You can't, yes, okay. You can't put a 4 in the middle of a German whispers line, because if you do, you've got to surround it by double 9, and that's obviously not going to work. So the 4 in this row is not in those cells. Not in that cell. For some reason, that's really strange. I couldn't see the break in the symmetry there. I couldn't see until I've just looked at it that this German whispers line is actually shorter than all of the other radial German whispers lines that come out in straight lines from the... along the sort of compass points from this 5 in the middle. Oh well. Anyway, so 4. Yeah, okay. So 4 can't be here, because that would put a 9 here, and that will clash. So 4 is not in those cells. If one of these cells was a 4, well, this one can't be a 4, because it would put a 9 here. So 4 is just not on this whispers line. So 4 is in one of these 4 cells, not that one. So 4 is down to 3 cells in row 5. But I don't have any 9s in the givens up here, so I don't know that I can restrict that. Oh dear. Okay, maybe we turn our attention to column 5 then and ask the same questions about 4s and 6s, do we? 6 down here. Oh, that's it. Right. Okay, we were looking in the wrong place, but we had the right ideas, and that's okay. I'm not too embarrassed about that, especially given the amount of brandy butter I've consumed. Look at column 5 and ask where 6 goes in that column, because it's actually really restricted. Again, we can never put a 6 in the middle of a whispers line because you'll have to surround it with double 1. So it's never going in those cells. It's not here by Sudoku. It's not here because of the work we did already on box 5, where we locked the 6 into one of those 2 positions. For the same reason, it's not here. Can't go in the middle of a whispers line, so it can only actually go at the top of the grid. Phew. Right. At least this is progress. It may not be massive progress, but I do now, of course, know the parity of this whispers line. I know this is a 1. Oh, that's... Okay, so the example I did at the start of the puzzle, where I think I said what would happen if there was a 1 on this whispers line, and said it was a 1, 2, 3 triple. It is a 1, 2, 3 triple. Not whispers line, I mean Renban line. So now 1 has to go over there by Sudoku. 3's got to be on this Renban line by Sudoku, and there's no 1 on this Renban line, so this Renban line must have a 4 on it. Oh, and yes, this is gorgeous. Right, look at the given 5 now for this Renban line. This makes me think we're on the right path as well, because I think this 5 has been given here deliberately to fix this Renban line. It must be 2, 3, 4. We've worked out it's got a 3 on it. So it's basically got sort of low numbers on it, and it can't have 1 or 5, and it's got to be consecutive. So that's a 2, 3, 4 Renban. Now that means that we know the parity. Yeah, here we go. Now we know the parity of this German whispers line, but this time this could be a 4, because of course that would offset the 9s. This could be possible. So I don't think we can rule 4 out of that cell. But we do know that this and this are high digits, so they are 6, 7s, 8s and 9s. We know that's not 6 from the work we did in the middle box. We know that's not 6 because this can't be a 1. Okay. So, oh dear, we're stuck again, are we? The answer to that is quite probably we are. I can't quite see how to resolve any of this. Let's see if we can... Can we do anything else? Yeah, okay, we can do some Sudoku of all things. Oh, in fact, the Sudoku we can do is going to be magnified in its potency by this 1 I've just noticed would have allowed me to disambiguate this. But what I noticed was that 4 can't go in those cells because this is a 2, 3, 4 triple. So that's a 1, 4 pair, and in fact there's a 1 down here. So that's a 1, that's a 4. 1 moves over into one of those 3 cells. 4 is here now. So these 2 squares are, oh lovely, that's a 7, 8. Yeah, by Sudoku now we're getting some help. That's a 7, 8 pair, therefore that's a 9. So this could still be a 4. we've got to, what is it? What's the digit we're missing from this box? 6. That's got to go here. Which doesn't actually look that helpful. 6 is forced over into one of those cells. 9 is forced into one of these 3 cells. Now this digit, we know the parity of this whispers line, so that's a high digit. That's 7, 8 or 9. This is a low digit, 1, 2, 3 or 4. Now, what can we do next, if anything? Do we know... one thing we can do, we can use our clockwork argument in this box, look. Because 5's gone, once we know this is a low digit, this actually retains that parity, so this stays low. That can't be 1. So that's going to fix this Rembrandt line's parity, and this being high means that we also know that this is high, because it must be consecutive with this digit, and therefore that tells us the parity of this Rembrandt line as well. So that's got to be a low digit, and this has got to be a high digit, and that can't be 9. So this is down to 6, 7 or 8. Can't put a 4 in the middle of a whispers line. I sort of feel like that's a bit of a breakthrough, but I can't see how to make it do enough work for us. What else can we do here? We can... I don't know. We know this one as well. Maybe if we extend up this radial, we'll get something. So this square... yeah, okay, that can't be 4, because we can't put 9 here. So that's 1, 2 or 3. That's interesting, actually. That's interesting. This can't be a 2. Because if it's a 2, we know it must pair off with a 1 going around the clockwork. And it can't now pair off with a 1. So it can't actually be a 2. So that is an odd digit, and this is therefore an even digit. That's totally useless. Oh well. We know that this is a high digit, don't we? Because it's on the whispers. So that's a 6, 7 or an 8. And we know that this... Oh, look! This is low. And it can't be 1, 3 or 4. That's a 2. Oh, happy days. Right, that is now a 4. Which... What's that doing? That means that... I don't know. I thought that was going to lead to all sorts of things, but now we've got to place 5, 7 and 8 in the rest of row 2. Can we rule anything out from this Rembrandt line? What are the digits we've got left to place? We've got to place 5, 6, 7 and 8. So this must be an extreme digit, because the Rembrandt is either going to be 5, 6, 7 or 6, 7, 8. So this square here must be a 5 or an 8. Which is almost interesting, but not quite. Okay. Now, where do we look on our snowflake for more joy? Come on, snowflake, give us the joy. Is there anything we can... Is there some whispers logic we can do then? If this is... yeah, there is. Because if that's a 2, that can't be a 6. It could be a 7. Does that help us? Does it help us with this digit? No, it doesn't. That could still be a 3 attaching to an 8. We've almost got sort of triples going on in this row as well. So if this is a 5, this has to be a 6, and this has to be a 7, and this would be an 8. 5, 6, 7, 8, this would have to be a 9. But I think that doesn't look impossible to me. Okay, don't know. So I think we've got to go back to the drawing board. Where shall we look next? What have you hidden in your snowflake? We shall have a look at... What were the digits we were worried about? 4 in this column. We could still put 4 here. Can we put the 4 there? We would have to have a 9 here. Can we put the 4 here? Yes. In fact, 4 is fairly useless in this column. What about... yeah. Here we go. We were looking at 4 over here. It couldn't go over there, could it? Because we can't put it in the middle of the rem band. Sudoku rules it out from this one. That can't be a 4 because it would put a 9 here. And 4 can't be in those squares because of some logic we've just been doing at the top of the grid. So 4 is in one place in this box. And that does... Does that do nothing? Does it really do nothing? That's so mean. I don't believe it. I think it does nothing. I might be wrong, but I'm not seeing how to make use of that. Can we use the parity now? I've got a 4 here, so... Can I use the parity? Yes, I can. Or can I? Hang on a minute. I just want to think about this for a second or two. Because I'm thinking if this is a 4, that's used up one even digit from this box. Now there must be an even digit here, there must be an even digit here. And in a 3-cell sequence of consecutive numbers, there must be at least one even digit, but there cannot be more than one, given that we've got a 4 here. So this cannot be 6, 7, 8 now, because that would have 2 even digits on it. In fact, this square just cannot be a 2. That must be a 1 or a 3. Which is very annoying, because it's actually, what you want to do is to eliminate a 1 or a 3, so at least you get some knock-on effect. Okay, so how do we use this knowledge? Oh, we've got to remember our yellows as well, but I don't think we've learnt anything more as a result of that. This is not 6, 7, 8. So, is there something... 6 has to be in one of those... Oh, here we go. In fact, this can't be a 6, can it? Because we worked out there was a 6 in one of those 2 squares before. But I was just coming to that as a result of looking at these 6s, remembering 6 had to... Well, not remembering, but realising 6 had to be in one of those 3, and then thinking about the 6 in here, which I could have done before. But that means 6 is in one of those 2 squares. So this is higher than 6. Well, it's forced. This has got to be 7, 8, 9, hasn't it? That's the only thing it can be, given the 6 can't be in that square. So this is 7, 8, 9. That's a 7, 8, 9 triple in the column. That means that the digit that attaches to the 6 on the rem band line, whichever of these is a 6, it must have a 5 on it, on its rem band, because it can't have a 7. So there is a 5 in one of those 2 squares, which means there's a 5 in one of... Oh, okay, we could have got this anyway, because we've got this... Effectively, we know the top 6 digits of this column. So this is 2, 3, or 5. So now... This is really clever stuff, this puzzle. I think we're now working our way round the snowflake, because what is on this rem band now? Well, it can't have a 1 or a 4 on it, because 2, 3, and 5 have gone from the box. They're elsewhere. So the only thing this can be is 7, 8, 9, I think. Which means this is a 1, 4 pair. And... what does that mean? Does that mean I know what this digit is in some way or other? I don't think I do. I think this could still be a 4 leading on to a 9. Well, that one can't be a 9. So I have learnt there's a 7, 8 pair in this column. So these squares are from 2, 3 and 6. Is there something I can learn from that? Probably. We know the parity of this square now. This must be low because it's after a high digit on a whispers line. And that means this must be low using our clockwork argument in box 5. So these are now high. So this is 6, 7, 8 or 9. We know the 6 is in one of these two. Which have got, now this is really clever because now, of course, I know everything about these 3 rem bands as well. I know all the parity for these rem bands. So let's fill those in and see if that tells us anything. That can't be a 1. Oh, so the 1 in box 5 is in one of those two positions, which means the 2 in box 5 is next to the 1 in one of those two positions. So that's definitely not a 2. Yeah, and I'm gonna go further with that argument because I'm now going to note this. Well, let's fill in the parity. I was looking at the parity of the low digits in this column. This square has to be low, but it's in the middle of a rem band, so it can't be a 4 because then it would have to have double 9 around it. So now 4 is in one of these two positions, which means that's not a 4. I've now got a 1, 3 pair here. So now I've got a 2, 4 pair in the column. And that tells me that this square has to be a 3. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. So now that is a 9, 8 pair because it's got to be 5 away from 3, and the 9 tells us the order. 9, 8. Take a bow, Riffclown. That's really clever. Although it doesn't resolve whether this is a 4 or not, because it could be a 4 next to a 9. Ah, but it does give me my 9 in box 9, serendipitously enough. 8 must be in one of those 3 squares. And this is a 3 on a renban. 6 is also on a renban in this box, but it could go with 7, I think. Okay, maybe what we've got to do though is to carry on going around the snowflake. So we know that this has got to be a high digit. So this is a 6, 7 or an 8. This is a low digit. It's a 2, 3 or a 4. It can't. Oh, I was going to say it can't be a 4 in the middle of a. Oh, it actually can't be a 4 this time because that can't be a 9. So this is a 2 or a 3. So and it can't. This can't be 1, 2, 3. So it must have a 4 on it, and the 4 must be in one of those squares. In fact, this can never be an 8 now. It's too far away from 2 or 3. So there's definitely a 4 in one of those squares. But it could be 3, 4, 5, perhaps. And there must be a 3 on it as well. Yeah, there must be a 3 on it. That's probably an easier deduction. That means there's no 3 in that cell. It's either got 2 or 5 as its other digit. Okay, I don't think I know, do I? Okay, well let's have a look at this one then. So this one we know this is high, so this is high as well. So this is 6, 7 or 8. This is 1, 2 or 3, and this is 2. Beautiful, because of the 1, 3, 4 triple we've already got in column 1, so that's a 2, therefore that's not a 2. We've got 1, 3 in our yellow snow. We've got, that's not a 6 anymore. So we already knew that wasn't a 6 from the logic we did earlier. Okay, I've got a 7, 8 pair in this row out of nowhere, so that means those squares are a 6, 9 pair, which means those squares are a 7, 8 pair. And what do we do next? I don't know. I don't know. Come on, puzzle. I feel like you're about to give up. You've given a very noble effort. 3. That can't be a 3. We can get the 3 in, and we get a 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight. Losing its religion. It's not really a Christmas carol, is it? But it'll have to do. 3 is on this Renban. Oh, look, I got a 9 here. So that square, so this fixes this 1. This can't, well, it fixes this as a 1. This can no longer be a 4 because it would need a 9 on the Renban. So 1 and 4 go in. Ah, beautiful. Right, so now this is a 1-2 pair because there's a 1 on the Renban. So it's a 1-2-3 on the Renban. We've already got the 3. So this is 1 and 2. Don't believe that doesn't seem to do anything, you know. Now that's a 5-7 pair. So that's no longer a 7. And that means, yes, now this Renban is 2, 3 and 4. That's the only option it's got. And we can remove 2 from here and 3 from here. And this must be a 6 or an 8 by Sudoku. And this can't be a 6 because this can't be a 1, and because it's on a whispers line, so that all gets resolved. 6 gets removed from a square I've only got 5 and 8 pencil marked into, so I could have done that before. I've done the same thing here. I've got 6 in that square for some reason, so that square's got to be a 6. Is that telling me about this Renban? Of course it's not. Ah, this 8 though is telling me the nature of that square, so that's 7. That can't be a 3, so that's the 1. This is the one we were looking for. That's a 3. That can't be a 7 on the whisper then. This can't be a 6 on the whisper, so that's a 9. That's the 6. 6 must be next to 7 on the radial. 9 must be next to 8. This is actually all of a sudden going quite well. We can remove 8s from those squares, which means that's the 8 in column 9. That's a 7. That's an 8. That's a 7. 9, 8 here means that's a 7. So that means we've got a 5, 8 pair here. That becomes a 7. That's an 8. That's a 5. Beautiful. That's a 7. That's a 5. Have we cracked this now? The answer is maybe. What about those 2 squares? They must be a 4, 9 pair. Yeah, there's a 9 here. So that's 9. That must be 4. That must be 5 because of the Renban. That must be 8 because of the Renban. No, it still isn't revealing the nature of these middle cells. Oh, the 7. 7 is disambiguating it. 7 can't be next to a 4 on a whisper. So that's a 2. That's a 1. That's a 4. That's a 3. So that's not a 3. And that's not a 2. How does this get resolved? 7 is still doing some work over on the right hand side of the grid. 9, yeah, we must have done all the 9s. Ah, we get a 9, so that must be an 8, which looks nice, doesn't it? So what have we got left to do in this box? We've got to put in 3, 4s, 5s and 6s. So the 3 is up here, must be next to a 4. So this is a 3, 4 pair, and we don't know the order, and it's looking a bit deadly patternish, which is a bit scary. That square's a 6 now. 6 must be next to 5. So that must be a 2, and this must be a 1. Then we get a 2 and a 3 over here. The 3 I've just noticed is doing some work in box 2. The 2 is doing some work right at the bottom of the grid. So what else do we need here? 5s and 6s. So we need to put a 6 in here and a 5 here. We've got the 3, 4 pair there. And a 7 on this whispers line. So that is fixing this square as a 2. It needs to be 5 away. So that's the 2, that's the 4, that's the 3, that's the 3, that's the 4, that's the 2, that's the 5. What do we need to do? We need to put a 6 in somewhere. That'll have to go here next to a... Probably, oh, it could be next to a 7. In fact, it is next to a 7. And we need 4 and 5 there, which is 5 and 4. And I think we've completed the snowflake. Let us click tick. Yay! Happy Christmas, Simon. Happy Christmas to you. those of you who are watching, I hope you've had a super festive season, and I hope that you've had a very good feed today, and as I say, that you got all the presents you wanted. Riffclown has been kind enough to give us all this beautiful snowflake puzzle, which is really clever stuff. It's gorgeous logic throughout. Absolutely loved it. I loved the fact that you could work with the 6s and the 4s in sort of column 5 and row 5 and actually deduce enough to sort of make a start on the Wren bands. It's just a beautiful puzzle, really, really superbly executed. Yeah, and it gave me a lot of pleasure. So I'll look forward to the comments. I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind, and happy Christmas to you all.